Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host, HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we're back to the world of Zootopia with Zootopia 2. It's been out for, I think, 2 months ish. Yeah, around 2 months. We covered the
It,
original. When was it that we did the first one? A few
oh
years
God,
ago.
it's been a while.
Yeah, and if you
Let me
if you're
load it
still
up.
kind of in shock that the original came out 10 years ago,
Oh no, don't
the
say that.
yeah, I'm sorry, it's the facts, buddy.
It's not
Zootopia
been
is
that
10
long
years.
ago.
No, so, like in I think in just 2 months, Zootopia 1 is gonna be 10 years old. What the fuck is going on
I
anymore?
know
But
why it doesn't feel that long ago. We covered it 5 years ago. That also feels like a
yeah,
long time though.
Yeah, so but I recall that though we covered it because we were supposed to set up to something else, which was this Beastars anime, the Zootopia for Adults thing.
Yes,
And
yes. Because after that was Beastars. You're right. It was the very
I
next episode.
I remember that. I remember that you told me about this thing, and then it's like, you know what? Let's do Zootopia for the laws, like just for the hell of it, before we do this one. But so yeah,
Oh my
but
God, this came
Zootopia
out in
2.
2016.
Yep.
Oh
Well.
God, how is this? God, 10 years,
Mm-hmm,
man.
mm-hmm. Yeah, tell me about it. So,
Every time I do this,
anyway,
and I feel like it hasn't changed. Every time I do this.
yeah, well, to be fair, it was also kind of surreal to me to suddenly realize, oh shit, it's been 10 years since the original. What the hell? Like, oh my god, that just. Uh, but anyway, Zootopia 1, just to recap, you can probably look
You know,
for the episode we did about it if you scroll down in the channel. But
before we,
to just to
before,
paraphrase, I still really like the original Zootopia.
yeah,
Would still say the ending, the twist villain, is its biggest weak point, and I wasn't a big fan of the third act initially in general, but it grew on me. I still think it's a really good movie. That's definitely worth checking out, and one of the few movies where the message that it's trying to convey, being so heavy-handed and in your face, actually works in its favor.
yes,
Personally,
I'd agree.
yeah. So you're in the same boat as me.
Yeah,
Do remind me. It's been a while.
no, it's fine. You're fine. Yeah, a very good movie, very enjoyable. As you said, a little bit heavy-handed and maybe a little quick, but overall, still very enjoyable. I do have a thing I
Yeah,
want to say though,
yeah.
and that is, since you mentioned like, oh, we did Zootopia before we did Beastars.
I know. There was a season 3 that we didn't cover. I am
Yet.
aware.
But no, what I was gonna say we should do after Zootopia 2, there's a new furry anime HC.
Because of course there is. Oh
Having seen it,
boy.
honestly it's kinda
Update.
good.
Of course, it's you know what? Update me later. Let's keep it to
You know
Zootopia 2
what?
for the moment.
But the tradition HC.
I know. I'm not saying we're not going to follow it. Most likely not, but we'll see. But I'm just
Fair enough.
saying, I'm game. It's just a matter of let's talk about Zootopia 2 first.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
but but before this, actually, I have to ask you. Did you think Zootopia 2 could work? Because for the longest time I
Man,
said, when I heard that, either if there were rumors or people said they're talking about it, I think there were talks about a TV show at some point. I
didn't they
always thought
do like a
that Zootopia
small
had. Hmm?
didn't they do like a small TV show style thing? Like not
Actually,
a
yeah, there was
full, but it
something.
was like something
Yeah.
small, wasn't it? Like a one
Yeah, there
season, very
was
quick
actually something.
episodes.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it, but now that you mention it, yeah, there was a thing. I completely
I've
forgot about that.
not seen it either.
Well, either way, so I always thought that Zootopia did have, okay, so the TV show it's called Zootopia Plus, really original there. Can can you imagine what streaming service it's on? I'm going to say Paramount Plus. Nah, I'm kidding.
Man,
But
it's an anthology
anywho,
series, is what it is. So yeah, it's not like huge. It's just a few small things, but neat.
Well, either way, so for Zootopia 2, I remember because this is also following right after Moana 2, which I haven't seen because hot take, I am not the biggest fan of the first Moana. It's fine, I just didn't love it.
I haven't seen it
And
either.
so I haven't seen the sequel, but I heard that the sequel was apparently a TV show which was reworked into a movie, and you could tell. Again, haven't seen it. I'm just going by what I said. And in general, Disney animation didn't really do well recently. Like after the turn of the decade, besides Encanto, none of their films hit. And I can tell you that Raya and the Last Dragon and Wish were just absolutely terrible. I think in the Outcasts for 2023, I made the bad category just so that I could talk about how bad Wish is. I think. And yeah, so Disney animation wasn't really doing all that hot
Mm.
recently. And I was cautiously optimistic about this one because there is potential and the trailers looked interesting. And when it came out, people were really into this one. I saw a lot of good reception about this. What was your experience with going into this? I'm wondering.
Well, going back to the first question you asked, did I think this would work? Right? Did I think what was my thoughts on getting a Zootopia 2 after Zootopia? And I think I was in a similar boat to you in that it was like I felt like Zootopia ended in such a way and on such a good note that doing a second film felt, I don't want to say pointless, but unnecessary, right? Like it wasn't needed. Like Zootopia could be a one off, that's fine because it has such a good story and ends it in such a great note, right?
To be
Like
fair,
there's
though, just saying that a sequel is unnecessary doesn't mean it can't
this is
walk. Like,
true.
because
And I was
every you could say that every sequel that has ever existed didn't really need to exist, but
eh,
it's how you handle it.
I think there are some things that have gotten sequels that needed a sequel.
You see, I wouldn't necessarily say needed, but a sequel definitely helped and was definitely on the same caliber because there was an idea there.
Or was
But
better than, right? Like I mean, looking at Kung Fu Panda, I,
okay, yeah, but
I
again,
Kung Fu
Kung Fu Panda
Panda's
2, though, again, goes back to the thing you didn't necessarily need a Kung Fu Panda
no,
2. It's
and
just
that's
that
why it's actually a bad example.
yeah, you did, but I think with a lot of not just animated sequels, but sequels in general, like, did we really need a sequel to Star Wars? No, still, that's kind of a template to a lot of sequels these
Mhm.
days. So I was curious when I heard there's a Zootopia 2, and now actually, let's actually talk about the movie itself. I am probably going to annoy some people. Didn't really connect with this one. I don't think it's bad, but I felt I didn't feel like it was as tightly done as the original.
I would say my opinion is I enjoyed the film. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was good, but I kind of agree with you. If you sat me down right now, just top of my head, which one do I prefer more? I think I prefer Zootopia more. I don't think, like you, I don't think I connected as much with this one. And I think some of that might be that I think it might come down to I enjoy the I'm going to say the word relationship, and no, that does not mean what some of you might think it means.
We'll talk about it. There's something I want to point out with that actually,
But
but
the
go ahead.
relationship between and the relationship and the back and forth between Judy and Nick, I think is really enjoyable and really good. And honestly, I think yeah, this movie is the exact same runtime as the original, and it feels like it goes by too fast, in my opinion, at
Too
certain
fast.
points.
Interesting, because I actually thought this one felt like it did more. Like I remember when I during the climax, I'm like, okay, we're probably closer, and I'm like, wait, there are 30 more minutes. What is there left? And
Fair.
I to me this one felt a lot more like
Well,
again,
I
not to
should
say that there was
go ahead.
not just not to say that I didn't enjoy myself. There are a lot of good sequences in this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just think the story that ties it all together isn't really that like uh, maybe I don't want to say I keep saying this, but one more rewrite, maybe two more rewrites could have done this better. And you said Nick and Judy's relationship. I have to be honest. I cannot. To be to some extent they are as likable as the first film, but at the same time, we'll talk about this in spoilers more probably.
Mm-hmm.
I think this movie does Nick a disservice,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll get to it in spoilers.
I think what I mean when I say too fast, right, is that it's not necessarily runtime per se, I should say. It's more that
It's how it feels.
it's how it feels, and I think the first movie had moments where it would slow down and just let a scene be for a bit.
Yeah.
This one, it feels like the second we hit the gas, we're gone. We're going into of let's go. We're not stopping. There's no, to me at least, there's no moments where it feels like it slows down a little bit, just lets a scene breathe.
There
Like
are moments, but I get what you mean. This one feels more
there are a few. I
like
would
a thriller.
definitely say there's one scene in particular that I think is a good. Okay, we're just letting this scene slow everything for a moment. Nothing else matters. I would liken it to if you've ever watched a show, movie, anything, right? Something important
Mhm.
is going on, something major is going on, and it feels like within movies and shows and stuff that, oh, that may, like, say, for some viewers, a fight scene is happening within something, right? And yet all of a
Mhm.
sudden the fight scene slows down for two people to talk. It's like, wait, isn't
Mhm.
there a big fight happening all around us? Is this it's not something you would probably see in real life, but it's for the story, right? It's for the characters.
Yeah.
This slow down moment needs to happen.
Mhm.
With that in mind, there are a few moments where that happens in this film, but to me, at least, it felt like we did not get many of those. And I think, personally, where Zootopia is at its strongest is when you're letting these characters just breathe and interact with one another, right? And I don't feel like we got
Yeah.
enough of that. And that's where
There
some of my criticism comes from.
I think one of the strong suits of the original was the world that they
This is also
created,
true.
and you
And they
can
would just
enjoy.
have shots of like, hey, here's just a shot of us showing you the world, right?
Yeah, there you go. So that's what I'm about to say. That in the original, you had these moments where can just see the wall, like when Judy goes into Zootopia for the first time, and you see how the hippopotamus leave the train, how the mice leave the train,
Mm-hmm.
how this world works for each type of animal, and then also there was the scene where they go into like to like where all the animals are naked suddenly because they are reconnecting with their nature and stuff, like where the hippies are. That's kind of what it was supposed to be, I think.
Yes.
And they would show you these moments, you'll get to see it. And this one does it too, for the record. Zootopia 2 also does this because you get to see a lot more, a lot
We
more
explore a
of
lot more of the
this
world, yeah.
world, a lot more of Zootopia. And it's great, but I also think that at some point they were just like, people like this in the original, so we need to have more of it there. We need to have more. And I
Mm,
kind of like that there's more because it's still as clever and fun as the original was in this instance. But then I also slow down and tell myself, that's cool. What about the story now? What about the characters?
fair. There's definitely that's nice, that's enjoyable. I do like that, but I do agree with you. Like there were moments where this isn't as important to me. Like it feels like you're doing this because you think, oh, this was something that, and it is good. Don't get me wrong. It's very enjoyable. I like that you do it, but at the same time, some of these scenes could have been like extras on a DVD, you know?
And some of them also felt there for the sake of you remember this from the original,
Mm.
like when there's a point where you see the weasel that sells the the bootlegs, which kind of Disney, I have to say, kind of hypocritical to make fun of sequels and remakes when that's all you've been doing recently. Just a wink wink there, but
Mm.
I guess it's funny. But then again, you see this guy there because he was in the original. You see the mafia mice because it was in the original.
I mean,
Shakira is back because it was in the original. But for the record, I think I like this song more than Try Everything. I'll give the movie this.
fair enough. I would say like
By the way, this doesn't really count as spoilers in my eyes,
no, fair enough.
so just
The only thing I would say is at least two of those are not on the same level as I would say as the Weasel, or Weaselton, I believe his name is.
yeah,
Right?
Weasel Town.
Has no
Which
bearing on the story
in
like he did in the first one, even if it was bare minimum, right?
Yeah, this again, this felt like there's another thing we'll talk about in spoilers
The other
because that's a bit
two
more spoilery.
do
That
something, even if it is only
eh,
brief.
it's not even a matter of doing something, but it feels kind of like a contractual obligation to just have that thing there,
Mm,
even if it doesn't really serve anything.
fair.
But as a last thing I will say before we move on to spoilers, this is just a dumb meeting, but I think it's funny that I completely forgot Idris Elba voices the chief, the police
Same,
chief.
actually.
And and then every time he talks, I just thought, Knuckles, what is he doing here? All right. It was just a dumb Sonic fan moment for a
Mm.
second that I completely forgot it was Idris Elba for a second. And then he talks and it's like, wait a minute. All right, Knuckles. That is him. Oh my God. Funny. And yeah, I think that's basically it. If I had to give, if I have to give like a recommend this or not. If you like the original, there's a good chance you probably saw this because it already made. This movie is almost made $2 billion by the time of this recording. By the way,
Yeah.
so if
1.6 billion.
if you like the original, you most likely saw this already. But if you're looking for a recommendation, I would say give it a watch, but I would also say you don't need to rush to see this, even though everybody already did, because again, look at the box office numbers. But otherwise, I still think it's. I've seen a lot of people say it's the best animated Disney movie since Encanto, but let's be honest, what is the competition? So I personally I didn't hate it by any means, but I also didn't love it as some other people seem to. So it's in the middle. Give it a shot, see if you like it. Personally, I think it has some cracks that kind of salted the experience for me.
That's fair. I would agree. I would absolutely
That
agree.
being said, spoilers from this point on. So three, two, one. Still here? Okay, so let's start with, I guess, the heart of these movies, which is Nick and Judy. And
Mhm.
I have to say, I I was never on the shipping bandwagon with these two
No.
for multiple reasons. I think, but one of them is that this world never seemed to imply that the two different animals can get into a relationship. Like whenever you see otter with an otter, you see with Judy's parents, it's a rabbit with a rabbit. They never really established that two animals from not necessarily that they have like a predator and however the bunnies are and stuff are called. You know
Herbivore.
what I mean? Yeah. So they never established that two animals, regardless of where they're from, can be in a romantic relationship. So Nick and Judy as a romantic couple always seemed off to me because of that. And And for the record, if you ship them, go
I
you. I'm
mean,
not gonna take this away from you.
I can
I'm not gonna
understand
say.
why people might think it, right?
Yeah, but
Especially after
and
this
also
film.
probably it's also probably just a meeting that I kind of miss when we could just have a guy and a girl be best friends and nothing
Mm,
else. Like,
would be
come on,
nice.
people. Yeah, it's happened in real life, guys. It's not that rare of a concept, uh, but but regardless of what I think, right? If people ship them and they like it, go them. I'm not gonna take this away from them. I'm
Yeah,
just
have
saying
fun.
though, that I like in this that they found a really creative and fun way to kind of balance it out. That they go to partner counseling, which is kind of like a couple counseling, but it's for work partners. So
It's
that way
very
the shippers are happy because you can totally call it couple counseling, but the non-shippers can also say, okay, it's not really romance. So it's a very nice balance to work on. I was impressed with how
it's
they did
very
this.
on the
This was funny
nose
to me.
of, hey, we know you guys do this, so here's a bone we're throwing you, but you know, it's not a real bone.
But to be fair, for as much as when it comes to throwing a bone, I think it's clever in kind of serving both audiences. I'm
No,
not
it's fair.
sure
They
what
did really
the
well at it, like being coy about it, right? They did extremely well, I would agree.
Because let's be honest, if you lean too much into the shipping category, then the non-shippers were gonna be like, why do we need this? But then again, if you didn't acknowledge it at all, the shipping camp would still find its way to ship them. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But that way, I feel everybody could be happy. Like they found this middle ground, which is rare with something like
Yeah,
this. So
it's one of those things of they
that's
didn't
good.
have to do it, but the fact that they, like you said, they found a way to work it in, but have a little bit of have fun with it in a coy way. I respect the fact that they managed to do it, and not only managed to do it, like I respect the fact that they did it, but also I respect the fact that they managed to do it in such a clever way that it was still very enjoyable for someone who I don't really ship these characters, nor do I care. Right?
Hmm. Yeah.
I agree with you. Very well done on their part. Deserves a clap. There's your
And
clap.
now to the actual relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, is I I like the idea on paper that they don't see eye to eye because essentially that's what the first movie was about, right? She was the cop, he was a con, and they kind of needed each other in order to get out of a certain predicament. And in that way, they served each other. Now they are both working under the law as cops, and this is where their points of view and your experiences start to clash a bit when they are actually put in the field. I like this idea on paper that that Judy kind of sees herself as the leader because in her eyes, because she saved Nick to some degree, and Nick sees that to some extent, he's the more moment to moment
Well,
kind of guy.
it's
He knows
also
how to handle a situation.
it's also a good
What
way
did
to
you say?
it's also a good way to continue from the first film, right? Like we didn't really solve any of their personality clash issues. And I think even watching the first film, you can tell like, oh, these are two people that yes, they have become friends because of the first film, but you can tell even from the first film that their personalities would clash, right? And I think
Yeah,
that's a good continuation from the first film. And
I think that's a great
yeah,
continuation. Here's the fucking problem I have, which I
we
I
don't focus on
went.
it.
Yeah, well, here's the problem I have, which I only saw the movie when I finished watching it around 2 hours ago ish, and in those 2 hours I was kind of curious, so I went to check some reviews, and I see nobody's mentioning this, which is like, have I seen the same movie to some degree? I t-
I had
I
similar
t-
thought actually.
uh, uh, because to be fair, for a movie that's
Spoilers, we
supposed to
even have the
focus on.
exact same twist villain reveal. I came into this film.
We'll
Who's the
get there.
twist villain? I'm looking at all of you,
Well, let's
and
save
they
it.
did it.
We're getting there. We'll get in there because I just want to say I am really surprised nobody's bringing this up, and I'm really starting to doubt I saw the same movie as some other people did. But Nick. Paul fucker. Everything it seems like that every time they have a this the movie tries to play up Judy as the right one and not give any attention even though every single time the problems that come from them not really communicating is Nick telling her stop, let's think for a second, and then she just jumps ahead and leaves them behind, which is what causes the problem most of the time. And the movie kind of acts as if Nick is in the wrong.
No,
And
I will say to
no.
that, right? They do
Mhm.
have, and I'm gonna help your point here. Give me a second. I will
Yeah.
say to that, right, that they do have the moment of, and we'll probably talk a bit more about it when Judy and Nick make up, right? That she admits that she's doing that and that is wrong, but it doesn't feel earned. I agree with you because again, I think
No.
they don't really focus on this problem between the two of them and this communication issue. They don't focus on it enough to make it feel earned from Judy to apologize to Nick because of it, right?
Because the point which broke me with this is after the tube chase, right? When they're in the water tube chase, chasing Gary, and Nick at some point, when he sees that Judy is about to suffocate, he takes her
Right.
and they escape. And then he tells her, "I think some apologies are in order." And she immediately just goes, "Well, you did do this to save me." And he's like, "No, no, I'm talking about you." And then it's immediately forgotten. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason this pissed me off also is because later, just a bit afterwards, when they start climbing the mountain, which is again Judy just completely ignoring what Nick is trying to say, and then the pen break, and that's supposed to be like this big oh shit moment for their friendship, right? Which would have had if I actually cared for Judy in this because no, she's not listening to she's doing the same thing she's accusing Nick of doing, but Nick does make some good points here. She's overbearing, and when, like you said, when it comes to that big explosion of emotions at the end, where they say all their
Which is
feelings,
a good scene,
I
but yeah, it doesn't feel
it
earned.
doesn't feel earned. From Judy's side, no, no, it does not.
And and again, you can say like, "Oh, Judy's supposed to be a bit of the villain in this one because of how she's treating Nick and how she's acting and the fact that she doesn't like say sorry for the mistakes she's caused because of her overzealousness and earnestness to do good, right? And even she in the film states it, her hero complex. I get
Mhm.
it. There's nothing wrong with that, but i- when she says sorry, right, it should feel earned. You should feel like, oh, okay, this is an earned moment. They've had this chance to make up between one another and to apologize for their shortcomings, and now they'll do better. I don't
Tell you what,
feel that it feels genuine coming from Judy in this film because she's never really had a moment where her like even speaking on, I think we should just talk about it, right? We'll kind of skip around a little bit here. Like
yeah,
supposedly Judy's worried that Nick almost dies, right? Because of,
hmm
her overzealousness and earnestness to do something and be that hero, right? That hero complex
yeah,
that she has.
hmm
I mean, her herself almost dies. There's no, in my opinion, there's no moment where because of, she runs to Nick and helps, save the day and everything and saves Nick and they have that big apology moment. It doesn't feel genuine coming from her because there's no moment in my mind where it felt like the two things didn't feel connected. It didn't feel like what she did in that moment got Nick into that position, right?
hmm
It
because I
felt
tell you, I
disconnected
think
from each other.
it, this kind of comes back to again because there are 2 points which are supposed to be like this is where these two are never gonna be friends again kind of situation, and
Mm.
one is when the carrot pen breaks. This I mentioned that, which again I don't really feel for that because I don't really feel Judy is fair to Nick whenever he's trying to make a point. And then when they're up on that on
What?
that house and they're exploring it, and she's trying to uncover this conspiracy, and Nick tries to tell her, "Listen, the police are after us. They're right here. They're gonna capture us. And she tells them, I'm so close, I'm so close. And he tells her, sometimes a case, and she keeps going with the thing that she wants to change the world. She wants to help, like in the
Mhm.
first movie, fair enough. But then he also tells her, there's no point, some cases are not worth dying for. And this is supposed to be the big moment where this is supposed to be their breakup moment to a degree. This is the point, like this is like the third act breakup, if you will. And
I
I
know.
would have felt,
I've realized
you
two
know,
things. I've realized two things. Number
yeah,
one, you bring up the carrot. I'm gonna point out
hmm
they show in the film that apparently like the carrot recording thing, the thing that Judy gave Nick is supposedly really important to Nick. In that moment, who seems more upset, Judy or Nick?
what did you say? You're breaking up a bit.
Oh, sorry. I'll repeat. You bring up the thing with the carrot, right? Am I still good
hmm And
on yours?
now it's okay.
Okay. So you bring up the thing with the carrot when it breaks and all that. In that moment, who seems more upset, Judy or Nick?
That's the thing. It seems like Judy was a bit. Nick seemed to be more surprised than anything.
And
Judy
I'll say
seemed to be pissed.
that's the thing. In that moment, I think it's wrong. I think because again, they show you in the first film that Nick is the one who has it and it's displayed on a thing in his house, right? They show us that. Why is Nick not more upset about that? Why do we not give Nick the chance to have a moment there of being upset and Judy having to see that and then still trying to move past it? Because then it would feel more,
Because
well, then I understand why, but it would feel more poignant when Judy does apologize because something she did, destroyed something that was important to Nick, right?
yep.
I think that's one issue
hmm
is that Nick feels in moments where he shouldn't, he feels very nonchalant. And again, that's a part of his character flaw, right? But we should
Yeah.
have seen, I think that's one of the issues though, is that we let the character flaws and the fact that, oh, we're going to try and fix those character flaws get in the way of, oh, a character flaw doesn't mean that voids all other emotion all the time, right? Nick should be allowed to
hmm
get upset, even though he's supposed to be way too nonchalant about things and not let it phase him as much because that's a part of his character flaw. We should allow him to get upset in a moment or two. That way we see that, oh, what Judy's doing is bothering him far more than
Because
he's letting on.
that was also an element in the first movie where he was legit pissed and hurt about what she said in the
Mm.
conference, and that he did notice this a bit slightly racist behavior with her. That
And again, right? Like
and
something they did there is that it wasn't like a huge yell at you moment or very loud anger. It was very subdued, quiet anger. It was very much in character for Nick, but it was still
yeah,
anger. You could tell it. We didn't get that in this film. Second thing I'll
and
say, the second thing that
yeah.
I noticed and I have realized,
hmm
I, we're in the spoiler section, so it doesn't matter. Uh,
Yeah, well, yeah.
the twist villain. I
Mm,
think they felt
yeah.
like they had to have a twist villain so much that they forgot, wait, why didn't we do a thing of Nick? Because it felt like they wanted to at the beginning a little bit, but then they just kind of stopped this.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do a
hmm
thing of Nick knowing ahead of time and trying to convince Judy and her refusing to listen to him because of her, because of that hero complex she has, and
Because
that
there's
being a
also
point
this
of
point.
contention?
Here's the thing. You are right because I also thought about this that because they meet this guy in the party that they
Hmm.
arrive at, and the thing, and when Nick notices that Judy is just befriending this other dude, you can see this point where he's looking a bit upset that she's just not answering her comms because she's talking to this guy. Like she literally turns off the comms
Mm.
when it comes to, and he tries to contact with her, and then he runs into the chief, and that's where the problems begin.
Mm.
And you could have done this because again, to be fair, Twist villain, we're gonna talk about this in a bit, but this guy, he kind of disappears after that point.
For a little while at least, yeah, until the twist villain moment, and then he comes back. But
Yeah,
yeah,
a bit before that because we see that he and Gary save her and everything,
true. But
but in terms of the relation and
why?
the friendship, in terms of the friendship they build, kinda, it's like yeah, he's there and then he's just not. He vanishes for a good chunk of the film. Even Gary and like Gary's in like the posters and marketing and everything, and it's like he's barely of a presence in this movie.
Mm. So yeah, I think that's the issue in that I do think there's a story here they wanted to tell, but then it was just cut out and just left on the cutting room floor almost because you can see hints of this thing of, oh, here's these moments where it feels like eh, they were just shortened or cut out because I don't know why. I can't tell you, but it definitely feels that way. Like looking back, sitting here looking back at it now, and you bringing up the issues that you have kind of reminded me of no, there were these moments where they were going to do something with it. It felt like it seemed like, but then they just didn't.
And that's kind of the other thing that I say one more rewrite might have been able to save this because
I don't think enough to rewrite. I think they
I went to
had
the
a good story and they just cut it out for whatever reason.
yeah. Again, like I said, on paper, the idea of focusing on Nick and Judy having disagreements is fine.
I
The
mean, that's a great
problem
way to
is that
continue on. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great way to continue on. Actually, when I saw the trailers and I saw them like at the counseling thing, and I'm like, oh, this already tells us that they are not exactly seeing eye to eye as police partners. I That's what got me hooked because
Mhm.
I want to see them playing off of each other. I want to see them bantering. I want to see them walk through issues that partners in real life have to walk through. And but then the way the movie presents it is basically Judy is always right, Nick is always wrong, deal with it.
Mm.
That's not how you write it. And for the record, I would have said the exact same thing if it was the other way around.
Yeah.
If the movie also played it up as Nick is always right but Judy is always wrong, I would have said the exact same thing.
Yeah, the person here
So
doesn't matter. Someone's getting the shaft basically and they don't deserve it. That's the point,
mhm.
right? That's the issue at the end of the day is that there needed to be a bit of a back and forth. Like, yeah, Nick can be wrong. That's perfectly fine, but also let Judy be wrong. And you can say they did that, but it never felt like we had a moment of Nick just actively getting upset in the way that he did in the first film. Again, I'm not looking for him to blow up, get angry, for loud
Yeah,
anger. I'm looking for that quiet, subdued anger it seemed like he felt in the first film to come out in a
because
moment
there's
here
also
or
a
there.
point. Because the other thing, which to be honest, Nick also felt a bit flanderized to me in this, because
Mm,
there's the point, because for the record, the fact that he's a smart, nonchalant smartass that's his thing, and
yeah,
he's great for it. We love him for it,
yeah.
and he's also doing it great in this movie. I'm not going to say that it's not that, but then also when they're talking to Bogo, the chief, and yeah, there's this point where Judy seems to be, kind of like a yes, captain, always, everything, right? But then Nick is just the one that's kind of shit talks him, and he literally says it to him. You know that my sarcasm is kind of a defense mechanism for a traumatic childhood, and it's like, yeah, movie. I saw the first film. Why did you feel the need to put this in my face like that?
It
That's
it does feel like
that.
they're more focused on the comedy than
Which again, not a problem with that, but this isn't really a matter of comedy. This is just exposition of like, in case you missed the first movie, this is Nick's
well,
backstory,
no. What I
and
mean though is it feels like the entirety of the film is more focused on the comedy than the genuine like storytelling and emotion and characters, right? Like the first film, again, it wasn't perfect, but I felt like it found a good balance between that here's the comedic element, here's the more genuine story and emotion behind that comedic element, right? This
Mhm.
film, I think the balance was definitely off.
But again, the reason I'm mentioning this is that, like you said, so now it just seems that we are not really continuing these characters. we are just gonna send them back to we just send them back to point one,
Mm.
where Judy is the one who wants to prove herself and is gonna push through it, and even if it means putting herself in complete danger, she's in it to win it. She's in it to make the world a better place, which, don't get me wrong, admirable, but also kind of falls into this trap of, at some point you need to stop and think for a second. And you think she would, considering everything that happened in the original film. And
Mm.
Nick, on the other hand, he's just the sarcastic asshole, which, again, I love this trope. But at some point, I also kind of, and they kind of try to point it out that he tells her some apologies are in order, but then she doesn't really apologize, and he's blamed for the pen dropping, and we go back to this whole thing. Saving, one case that it doesn't worth isn't worth sacrificing your life, which seems to be like the make it or break it for these two. And Judy seems really hurt by this. Like, Nick just said something that hurt her through the heart, and it's like, no, he kind of makes sense. If the police catches you, there would be no case to solve. You're done. It's So I don't know what they were trying to necessarily
Well,
do here.
I,
Besides, like, I can tell what they're trying to do. I'm just not sure how they thought that this is going to achieve it.
it's definitely a thing of right. I think they pulled across from the first film the right things, right? Like pulling across, okay, Judy's hero complex isn't going to be fixed by the first film because it worked out there. She, got rewarded for it. So obviously she's going to keep doing that and still having that problem. Nothing wrong there. That works as a great, okay, that is a character flaw that we need to fix. Like you said, though, it comes down to, and I guess I'm kind of shitting on Nick here. They don't let him react. They don't let him have, like I said, they don't let him have a moment of just getting angry like he did in the first film. And that was really needed. And we needed that because that gives Judy something to react off of, right? That gives her that moment of, oh, and then, like, if she has that oh moment where, oh, she's pushed too far, and then you have that moment where Nick says, hey, it's not always about the case, right? And that hurts Judy. It's okay if that hurts Judy because of where her focus is, right? Because of the fact that she's very much hero complex, wants to save the world, and being told, hey, you don't always have to be the one to save the world, basically, probably would hurt her in that moment. But that's fine because that's that moment of Nick being angry, right? He's allowed to do that. He's allowed to be upset in that moment. And that's when, you can have that back and forth and all of that together. And I'm being, I guess kind of rambling here, but all of that together can result in that final apology that we get in the last scene, which did feel good as a scene. It didn't feel earned. It would feel earned in that moment, right? Like all of those things together, but we didn't get some of that. That's the big
For the
issue
record,
here.
when you mean the apology, do you mean the one where, not necessarily the final scene, because there's one where they're in Gary's house and he gives her the pen back.
No, I'm
There's the one
talking about
before
the
this.
one before that when they're out on there on the
Yeah, okay.
snow, where
Hmm.
Judy saves Nick from falling. Right?
Yeah. You see, this is the part where I realize that the movie had a good idea there, but
Yeah,
because
because
and
it
I
is a
hate when
good
movies do
scene.
that for me.
It
Yeah,
is a
it's a
good
good thing,
scene.
but it's this annoying thing that I hate that movies do that. I said that so many times in other stuff that it's like, I'm watching this scene and I'm just thinking to myself, I should feel something from in
Yes.
this scene, but I am not.
Yeah.
Why am I not feeling it?
The only thing I'm
And
feeling is this is a good scene, but like I said, it doesn't feel earned, and I think that's why you don't feel anything because it doesn't feel earned coming from Judy
and
at the very
it
least.
pisses me because, and not just Judy, I would even say from Nick, because the
Hmm?
first thing he tells her is, again, that he's just acting sarcastically because that's a defense mechanism for his child. And it's like, she's literally the only person who you told about this. She's the only person you trusted to talk to about this in the first one. She knows, and that's not. We're jumping around all the time, but there's
Mm.
also a point. around the middle when they are on the ship, where like this beaver podcaster character takes them to this ship, and they're walking down there, and Nick tells her
Yes.
that he has a problem with, with reptiles, and she goes, "Oh, don't worry, you are respecting my fears, I respect yours," and then she starts teasing him about it. What? That's kind of shitty. That's like this guy trusted his trauma with you, and you actually felt for him and told him, "I'm glad you told me." And she also went to grant lengths to apologize to him when she realized she was wrong and everything. And then she does this. I get it. Friendly banter is fine. I banter with my friends all the time. Look at us in this podcast. 10 years. Well, we're cursing at each other. We're making fun of each other, but we know it's in
Hmm.
good fun.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't make a joke about your life trauma on mic, right?
No, that's fair.
There's, it's a little thing, but it rubbed me the wrong way because Judy
No,
was
that's fair.
already hitting some wrong good points
Yeah,
with
I don't
me in
know.
this movie.
Yeah, that definitely felt like a moment. Like, why did you like? I was trying to remember. I've not had the chance to. I need to go back and watch the first film. Is there a moment in the first film where Judy has some sort of trauma that Nick makes fun of? I don't think there
No,
is.
he
I don't
basically
feel
the
like
one
there
thing he
is.
makes fun of her is that she's just a bunny and would never be a real cop.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think we've
really
seen
it.
Judy say, "Actually, I have this thing that I'm very afraid of," and Nick makes fun of her for. I don't think we've ever had that.
No, no, not in the first one. Not that
It,
I remember.
again, that's where it comes back to. I think, like, oh, this is kind of funny, and then yeah, if you ignore the hey, this person is afraid of this, I'm going to make fun of them for being afraid of it and use their fear for a bit of fun. Like if you ignore how kind of that feels, it can be funny, but also at the same
because they
time,
also have because they have
eh,
moments of banter in the movie, like when they go into the gala party thing, and Nick tells her, "You know something? That dress was one of the best ideas you had," and she goes, "Oh, thank you," and then he goes, "But what you did to your ears? That's funny. That's banter. That's
yeah,
cute."
yeah, agreed.
Making fun of his trauma or making fun of stuff he's afraid of, that's not cool. That's evil.
Yeah, it doesn't make her feel like a character I want to like.
And it kind of sucks because I like Judy in the first movie. I like them both together in the first movie. But here, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. The movie just decided she is right, but all the movie does is show me that she's not.
Mm, fair.
So I guess that was Nick and
I mean,
Judy for
but also,
now.
I mean, you also say we're jumping around a lot, but I do think these two are the crux of the film, and I think this relationship between them and how they treat each other is, or was supposed to have been. It felt like it was meant to be, but ended up not being the crux of the film, and I think that's kind of where this film falls apart for me personally. Is that
Yeah.
this wasn't done as well as it probably could have been, and as well as it seemed like you might have wanted to, but then just
Because
didn't.
they were, say what you will about the original, the heart of it was their friendship. That's what you took away from it. And this one
True.
seems to again at least have the idea that it is the heart of the movie, but they fucked up the heart. They performed the heart surgery that just made the heart stop beating. I don't know
Mm.
what this analogy even is. I don't know. I just you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And it annoys me because, yeah, that's when I hear, and maybe that's on me for coming in with too high expectations. I don't know. But when you hear that this is the Disney sequel that got it right, that this is the movie Disney got right after Encanto and after stumbling with the theatrical sequels, because I kind of have to preface this, the Disney sequels we got, starting with Ralph Breaks the Internet, I can't put them in the same category as the Disney direct-to-video sequels because we are talking about theatrical films, part of the Disney animated canon, which are being worked on for I think Moana 2 doesn't. That's the one that's iffy. But for the most part, they're being worked on by the people who worked on the original, like
Hmm.
directors, writers. I know at least one director came back for this one, and who also wrote the movie. I think that's the same one. Richmore didn't, but besides the point.
Byron
So
Howard.
these are the people. Yeah. So these are the people behind the original movie coming back. They should know this movie. And so how come it feels that they fucked up the heart of the first movie like that? That's just weird to me. And I read a bit before we started this that apparently some scenes were added only months before the film hit theaters. Like the scene with the pen breaking.
That's, I mean,
That
there's your answer right there. That's why it feels like this. That's why.
mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, things were cut that they didn't. That I don't know why they cut them, but things were cut that they probably should not have cut. That's the issue right there. That's why this film
Stuff
feels like
changed.
this. I guarantee you, if they ever, I'm not gonna guarantee you, but I'd be willing to bet you if they ever release an unedited version, I I'd be willing to bet you
Eh,
it'll be far more enjoyable.
Maybe not
If
an
they cut
unedited
what I
version, but
think they cut,
if but you know some when deleted scenes are out, when it's out on Blu-ray and whatever, that would be interesting to see. I
I
want to
do
see what
wonder.
was cut.
Like, yeah, I'm curious if what they cut was Nick getting upset with Judy. If they cut that pin breaking scene, like it falling and breaking while they're climbing that mountain, and what they cut from that scene was Nick getting upset, I'm I'm so curious if that changes how that scene feels or not. Because I feel like it would, and I feel like it would be far better.
You know, we talked about this with the How to Train a Dragon stuff. Like if a deleted scene could make a movie better or worse, and I think again we don't know yet. We don't have the deleted scenes out there to watch to really tell, but something was changed, something was edited, something was something happened at the 11th hour maybe, because this something feels off here
Right?
with the, and again, in any other case I probably wouldn't mind, but this is the heart of the movie. These are
Yes.
the two main characters. This is the conflict of the movie. And when one side feels more entitled and that isn't really being called out for it while the other one is just being shit on, that's a problem.
And and to be clear here, right? We're not saying cuts are a bad thing. There are
No.
absolutely films out there that have been saved by cutting some things out. And if you see the stuff they cut out, you can tell like this would have been a worse film if you kept this in, right? Like it would have just
Yeah.
ruined it. Cutting this
I
out
don't have
made
an
the film far better. I don't have an example to give you right off the top of my head, I will say, but yeah, there have been cuts, I'm certain of it, that have saved films. This is not one of those
well
times though, I feel. I could be wrong. We'll have to see if we ever get any deleted scene stuff. But if we do,
or again Blu-ray most likely, but
I'm willing to bet.
mhm. Well, either way, regardless, so we talked about Nick and Judy enough. I feel we put us out there. So the villain. Can we stop doing the Scooby Doo thing? If you're going to show me a character that's just all likable and quirky and everything, I'm gonna and in a police type story, I'm going to suspect them.
Listen, the second we saw Paul Burt, my immediate reaction is like, I don't trust him. This they're doing the thing that
Also,
I came into this
also,
thinking, like I said, right? I came into this. Who's the twist villain? Which one of you is it? Are they going to do it again? And then we saw him, Paul Burt, and I was like, hmm. And then they revealed that his family's actually horribly evil, and I was like, hmm, this is your moment. Don't do this. Let him just be quirky. And then we get closer to the end of the film, and he's like, actually, no, I want to be a part of my family and have them like me.
this is such a because like dude, I love Andy Samberg. I was so excited when I heard Andy Samberg is in this movie, and he's wasted. He's so wasted.
Mm,
And I and also okay, here's the thing. We saw this. We had it. I will say, I'll give him this. I'll give him that. It's not a high bar to clear, mind you, but I'll give him this. At the very least, he's given more than 5 minutes to be the villain, unlike Bellwether.
true. This end,
Again,
I like that. like I like that they give him a moment of like, hey, you don't have to be like your family. You can be different. He's like, yeah, but I want to. I want them to
Yeah.
like me. Like he cares more about his image and how his family sees him than being a good person. I kind of like that. I
Mhm.
kind of enjoy that. He doesn't care. Like he's just like,
Yeah.
no, but this is how it
Again,
is.
it's kind of like to an extent because for I was kind of pissed that we're doing a twist villain again because it's like
Mm,
really we did this the last time, right? We did it so now we just felt even more like we're trying to recreate what worked in the original. Only this time we're trying again with the one thing that everybody kind of agrees doesn't work, which is the villain. But again, like I said, though, at least he's given more time to be a villain.
mm-hmm.
And the other thing, kind of like you said, they do bring back this thing of, you know what, he's just an asshole that wants to be a part of his family and who's kind of a crime family. So it's like, you know what? I guess that's kind of entertaining, but again, I don't feel they did enough with this. And it's like, again, this is freaking Andy Samberg. He's hilarious. Give him funny stuff to do, and they just don't.
I, I also come back to again, like I think it would have been good. I think it would have been. I could be wrong, right? There's no way to know this for certain, right? At this point, because what we have is what we have. But I do
Mhm.
wonder if it would have made for a better film if Nick had known and caught on earlier, and Paubert was more central to the film, and Judy was making friends with him, and they became close. And Nick knew, and we, the audience, as well as Nick, knew. Oh wait, no, Paubert is not who he says he is. Judy, why are you falling for this? But and
Yep.
Nick's trying to persuade her otherwise, and she just refuses to listen to Nick.
Mhm.
Again, we have what we have, so there's no way to know. But I feel like that would have made for a better film, and would have made for, and would have just, again, just strengthened that. Oh, the focus of this film is on Judy and Nick's relationship and how they're having issues with one another, because it puts that in center focus again.
Mhm.
And I think you don't need to change up the story of the film in any kind of major way in order to make that work, other than giving Hobbit more to do and having him not be a twist villain, and instead having him be a front and center villain that most everyone other than Nick doesn't realize, right? Is the villain. I swear to you, it feels like that was the idea at some point, and because of scenes in this very film, but then they just
Mhm.
didn't do it, or
I
they did do it
just
and they changed it.
again, something happened in the production. I'm not sure what, I'm not sure how, but something was changed at
I
the
mean,
very 11th hour.
a part of me wants to go, this is Disney executive meddling.
You may
Because
never
like
know.
that's such an easy thing to claim with them, because they do that. They will actively come in and ruin something. It's kind of their MO.
To be fair, I don't necessarily want to say that because they let some if they let
No,
some of
they
the
do.
meta commentary on them get through, I want to say that it's probably not always on them. I'm
And
going to say this
we
is
have had moments, right, where we can stand back and say like, and we have proof, right, where you can stand back and say actually this was not an executive meddling issue. Disney let them do their thing and they just fucked it up, right? Speaking of like the creatives, because creatives can just make mistakes, that they focus on the wrong thing, they follow the wrong story, and ultimately it results in something that's fine but not as good as it could have been. Like this does happen. Not everything is perfect, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You come back the next time and hopefully do better if you get a next time. I think considering this
which
has made, as of right now, $1.6
they
billion
they said
dollars,
they said that it seems like Zootopia 3 is in production. Yes.
I think we're guaranteed to get a next time. So hopefully they're able to come back, and I hope listen to criticism and learn, oh, these were the fault points. This is where we messed up. I I I, I said this before with Zootopia 1 and 2. I don't know where you go with Zootopia from this point, but I think, and again, I know I've been talking a lot about how I'm disappointed with Zootopia 2, even after saying I still enjoyed it, because I did still enjoy it. It is still, at the end of
because
the
it does
day,
have
a
some
fun
fun.
film.
There are some fun moments in it, but again, when I look at the overall story, things crumble. I don't like. It's one of those. I might go back to seeing a few scenes here and there, but nope.
Yeah, fair. So I think it's definitely a thing of, I think they can come back, right? I think they can make Zootopia 3 and it be as good as the first film, if not better. As it stands, I do not think Zootopia 2 is better than the first film. I think it is worse
No,
than the
no, no,
first
no,
film.
no. Not if the first film is a 9, this one is a 6,
Fair.
maybe a 5. I need to think about
I
it.
might, I'd probably give it a, I hate numbers, but I'd probably give it like leaning towards 7 at best.
I don't really like numbers myself, but it helps in terms of if you want to see it on a scale somewhere, this is the best I have.
Yeah. We'll say, 7 out of a billion. No, out of
That's
10,
how it
I would.
works. Not how it works,
No,
but
I'll say out of a 10, right? Like I would definitely say, again, this film feels like a 7, right? A solid 7 at best.
I don't know. But
That's
then
probably me being
again,
a little bit generous, but again,
but
like
if we are
it
going to
comes
talk
down to,
about
I, I I did enjoy the film enough, right? I think there's enough good stuff here. It's just, as we've mentioned, right? It's just watered down by a bunch of other things that don't help it and actively hurt it.
if I will mention one thing I did like. I like Patrick Warburton as the horse mayor. He was kind of funny.
Yeah, I
It
also
was
like that we didn't get another evil mayor where he
yeah,
actually came in.
and
It's like, no, I'm gonna be a good
that's
guy.
actually yeah, because that's another thing that they told him. These two put two mayors in prison, which is like yeah, that's a good point. They put two mayors in prison, one after the other. Do you want to be the third? And also, how much do you want to bet they wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger for this role?
I I could see it, but I'm glad it's Patrick Warburton
No,
though.
no, it's good. If I had to choose, I'll go with Patrick Warburton. I love him.
I will
He's
say
great.
Arnold
It was
Schwarzenegger would have been fun as well. I think he can play up that comedic role as well. It would have been funny either way, but I'm glad
yeah.
it was Patrick Warburton. His voice just fits so well.
And in terms of the other cast, I we kind of talked about. I mentioned this, but Gary felt so nothing in this movie. And you would think, considering he's in the posters, he's in the marketing so much, like he's even in the thumbnail here. He's barely in the movie
Him and Paubert both. Paubert even more so, but yeah, Gary also, like, he definitely takes a bit too much of a back seat for what it feels like he's meant to be, right?
because like there's a good idea with him. I like it. I like the idea of what they do with reptiles, and again, it kind of connects to what we said about the first film. That it does, it does kind of talk about these real life issues in the ways that animals walk and behave, but it's
Mhm.
also. But I think in this one it's less in your face, but I think they also kind of
But it's
play it
still a good
right.
message. It is still a good
Yeah,
message.
there's still a good message and like good commentary there too. Again, it does it well in a way that's like accessible to kids and everything.
Yes.
I like this, but again, for this to work, I also kind of need to have something memorable about the character. And besides the design, I don't really remember anything about Gary. Like he's just there for the ride.
Yeah. Again, he's an enjoyable enough character, but yeah, you're right. He needed a bit more, and I don't know quite what it would be that he would need, right? Other than, hmm, more screen time, definitely, right? I think that's an easy one at the very least. Like he needed something a little bit. He needed something a little bit more.
Uh, I guess I think something we talked about cuts. now I'm starting to think, what if there wasn't enough cutting? What if plenty of
This
stuff
is
was kept
true.
in that wasn't supposed to be here?
I
Now that I'm
mean,
thinking
again,
about
you
it.
talked about like the shots of the world just showing us how things work within this world, which is enjoyable to see. But you're right, they did do a lot of that in this film too, possibly more than the second film. I can't say for certain, but if it is more than the second film, than the first film, then maybe they should have cut some of that out, and that should have just been little extras on the DVD or Blu-ray or what have you, right?
Okay, because now that we talked about so much, we barely even mentioned that book that's supposed to lead to this place that
Yes,
Gary's
the
I think
MacGuffin.
Gary's answer. Yeah, that's supposed to lead to. I don't. That's another thing. I finished watching this movie 3 hours ago right now, and I
Almost, it's more
barely
fresh on
remember
your
the
mind than
thing.
is mine. That says
Y-
something
y-
because I
Yeah,
watched it
because
2 days ago
Okay,
or
so
3 days ago.
maybe, but the point is that so they end up, so Gary is like back to his like hometown, I think it was, and he's reunited with his family and everything, and it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be this really heartfelt moment where everything, where things came together, and to be fair, I don't care. Like there's nothing, again, nothing bad about it, but it just feels like, okay, yeah, I guess this is happening. Cool, I guess.
That's fair. It definitely,
It's
again,
there's
maybe you're right. Maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you, it's not that they cut things; it's that they cut. Again, I come back to it, man. I just I feel like this film moves far too fast for its own good. It's again, it's
I
that feeling of where were the moments where we could give Gary a chance to just breathe within a scene with someone, right?
Yeah, and again, they try, but it's in the third act for one, and two, it's not enough because he doesn't really develop. He just wants this one thing. He's been very nice about it, and then he gets it. End of story.
That's fair. At the same
So
time, right? Like, and I don't think this needs like you don't need a lot of character development for Gary, right? Like you don't doesn't have to be the focus for his character, right? His character isn't meant to be developed along as the story goes on, right? He is a part of the MacGuffin quest. We need the MacGuffin, and we need to figure out what the secret is of the MacGuffin so we can solve the final mystery, right? And that final mystery being, in that final mystery in this in this aspect being how do we reveal that the Lynxes are, actually evil to everyone?
okay, hold on. I'm on the Wikipedia page here, and I noticed that there are some other references to Disney. Like there's a Ratatouille reference in case you missed it
Yes, I
at
saw
some
that one.
point. Yeah, and there are some people here who are kind of coming back. That some Disney voice actors who were in other movies are in here. Like The Rock is voicing someone in a parade at some point, and there's
Is he?
also
What?
yeah, yeah.
Where?
It's like
I missed that?
Dwayne. I'm reading the thing. Dwayne Johnson is Zeke, a dick from a from
Did he have a
parade that
line?
accidentally gets stuck in a tuba during Judy and Nick's pursuit.
Yeah, I
It's at the
remember
very
that
beginning.
moment, but did he have a
Yeah, I remember.
line?
Apparently,
Did he speak?
and
What?
apparently,
I don't remember him speaking.
well, sucks to be you. What do you want me to
I
say?
guess it does.
But
Yeah, fair enough. I
and also, apparently, in the prison, apparently Michael J. Fox is voicing a character named Michael J. Like, what even? But my favorite here
also missed that one.
is that Josh Gad, aka Olaf from Frozen, is voicing a mole who's working at the Zootopia Police Department. And
That one I remember.
Wikipedia, but Wikipedia felt that it was worth noting that in the Japanese dub, this guy is voiced by Hideo fucking Kojima.
Huh.
What in the fuck is going on here? I ask you.
What a Hideo Kojima
I'm like,
finally made it into movies. His dream. He's not
what?
making them, but he
But
finally made it
this
into one.
is this is so random though. It's like
Huh.
the guy who made Metal Gear fucking Solid in
Death
Zootopia
Stranding.
2.
The guy who
And it's
so
like,
desperately wants to make a film, not a video game.
oh my god,
He
what
finally got into
even?
film. This is his moment. This is his breakout moment. HC. This is we're gonna get the Hideo Kojima film he's always wanted to make because of his
Oh,
voice acting role in Zootopia 2.
apparently the Moana's voice actress is in this too. And oh, for the love of God. Bob Iger is voicing a character named Bob Tiger. What is this movie anymore? What is this? This movie is a pun. This movie is just made for a pun.
Again, it feels like they wanted to concentrate on the comedy a bit too much.
And again,
And
I get it. I get it that the first one had puns too. Fair. I'm not going to. But this one, this is getting ridiculous. What is even going on?
yeah, I think it just comes down to this film focused more on the comedy, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when you come off the first film, that felt like it had that mixture of comedy and that heart where you have that focus on the story and the characters and their relationships and how they bounce off of one another as well. Like they found that balance. It wasn't a perfect balance. The first film had its issues, but it managed it better than what this film did. And I think that's where this film falls flat.
So,
Hmm.
other than that, anything else to say on the movie
I mean,
or?
I think I hit the mic. My apologies. I think it goes like this, right? If, like you said, if you enjoyed the first film, you'll still have fun with this one. It is a fun film. It is enjoyable, even though we've sat here talking a lot about our dislikes with it. As said, you will. I think you'll still have fun with it and still enjoy it.
Yeah. Hmm. I still say, you know what? You like it. I am not going to rain on your parade, but personally, this had too many cracks for me to
I'm not coming back for a
really.
rewatch like I might for the first one, but I had fun
Yeah.
with it. It was good enough. I hope they can come back for the third one and do something that's more on par with the first film, where they find that good balance again between comedy and character and story, right?
Yeah. And I guess for the hell of it, since a third one is happening, what do you want to see in a third one?
Oh man, I think I had the same problem with this one. I don't know what I'd want to see, to be honest, because I feel
I,
like I mean, even if we did it poorly, we've done the focusing on Judy and Nick's relationship, so
yeah.
and getting them to a quote unquote better place, even if you don't think Judy deserves it or has earned it, but technically we've done that already, so I don't know what you would do with the third film.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do either, but let's say I think there's a post-credit scene that hints that they're going to touch upon the world of birds and like flying
Yes.
animals.
Yes, because they do the
So
feather thing.
yeah, so you know what? If so, in this case, at least we know what kind of new thing about Zootopia we're going to learn. So I guess we'll see what's
And
happening
with that in
there.
mind, yeah,
But in
I'm
terms
here
of
for it. What other
but in
animals
terms
have we
of
not seen in Zootopia at that point then?
well, to be fair, I think the only other thing you can do after birds is sea animals, like actually see underwater cities and stuff. That's something that's
We
kind
we
of,
kind of had a little bit of that in this film. Like
but
we
that's the
did.
thing, just a little, but just a little bit. It
Mm,
wasn't like the full thing.
this is true. And it would be interesting to see. You are right. It would be interesting to see like how do you deal with animals that like fish, basically. How do you deal with creatures that cannot go up on land? How do you deal with that? And how do you deal with the fact that you might have to, you know, be a land animal that has to go underwater? How do you deal with that? How does this world deal with that? So that'd be interesting. Same way with birds, I suppose, in that regard. Like, how do you deal with things that can fly and don't need to come down?
But in terms of what Nick and Judy are gonna do in the third movie, I again, like we kind of did we didn't do this very well, mind you, in my
Mm.
opinion. But we now did the whole. They don't really get along because they don't really because they have different approaches to things. Fair enough. How do you really develop from there?
Well,
I think the one thing you could probably do, maybe, I don't know, the one thing they can do is if they train another a rookie officer,
mm,
and they don't really know how, because that way you can kind of get a hint, a wink and a hint that this is their allegory for these two having a kid, maybe. but so either that or just maybe just show that they start having different kind of different ambitions as to what they want to do
yeah, they grow
as a cop.
distant. Yeah, that
Yeah,
distance, like that can happen with friendship, right? Where hey, Nick wants to take his career and his idea of his career in this direction, and Judy wants to go in a different way, and that distance that can happen as you grow apart,
as
but are
something,
still but still want to try and be friends.
if I may reference a police property which uses Andy Samberg well, do the Brooklyn Nine-Nine thing. One of them
Mhm.
is a detective, one of them tries to be a sergeant or even take over for Bogo or something.
Yeah, yeah, you could do that.
And and also this is talking about the idea of power dynamics. Are they even the same now that each one of them they're still in the force, they're still in the same, they're still doing the same job,
But
they see
one
each
is
other every
higher
day.
ranked than the other.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but the ranks, how this is gonna affect their friendship. I think this could be interesting. There's something to
No,
do
yeah, you're
here.
right. Actually, that could be quite interesting. And I don't know if we'll get like I don't know how many Zootopia films they want to do, but you can always, like I said, like end with the distance that grows between them, right? As life gets in the way and you move apart as as you go through different experiences and have those different ambitions that you want to chase after and those different dreams. They could do a thing of growing apart and
Because because now that I think about it, this is just a meeting. I'm not sure they're probably not going to do this because it's a money thing and everything. But maybe you could have Zootopia 3 be the last one, but with Nick and Judy. Zootopia is such a big world, and there are so many things to do here. You don't necessarily need to keep it on Nick and Judy specifically. Like you can wrap
this is
up their
true.
story and move to another character that's just living in the same world. They could cameo, definitely,
Yeah.
but yeah, we can try and wrap it up because at some point you're going to run out of things to do with them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and
make it
and
villagey and move on.
and here's the thing, right? Like we've complimented them on this before. The world building for Zootopia is so good that it's fun to explore. So
There you
exploring
go.
more of it with new and different characters isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like we
And
say
maybe
Judy and Nick are the face of the franchise, but they're the face of this part of the franchise. Zootopia as a whole doesn't necessarily, in my opinion,
yeah,
have something that I would say has to be there as far as characters go. Like this isn't How to
because
Train Your Dragon,
yeah,
right? You
because
can't How to Train Your Dragon without Hiccup and Toothless doesn't feel like How to Train Your Dragon.
well, it can. It's just that the two attempts being done at it have been either just just for just for a younger targeted demographic, or just done
Excuse you.
badly.
Winger is better than
Okay, let's not do this right now, please. But and also I didn't say anything bad. I just said this is still not aiming for the same target
No, you're right.
audience
No,
that
you're fair.
the
That's fair.
movies
You're
have.
right. You're right.
And when they did try to do that, it ended up being shit. But again, we're not gonna talk about this now.
But it's definitely a thing of I think it would be hard for people to come into something How to Train Your Dragon based that doesn't have Hiccup and Toothless, right? Set
Which you
within the same
see,
time period, I
well,
guess I should say.
you're kind of right, because I also think here's the thing though. The best
I guess a
example I
better
have on
example
top
would
of
be
my
like
head.
something Kung Fu Panda.
Well, not even Kung Fu Panda. I think
Mm,
if I the one example I have here, because I'm looking at my movie and TV shows shelf here. Look at Avatar. You
mm,
have Aang, you have Korra. That regardless of what you think about Korra, this is a whole other debate that we are probably
yes.
going to get into at some point.
Hello? HC. You died. HC? HC really died. Very quiet. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, uh, I guess until HC gets back. Hello. Give me 1 second.
I'm gonna put it out there.
Oh
This
no,
is
no,
part of
bud,
the
bud,
Zootopia
no, no,
universe.
no. You got to go way back. We've lost you for like over a minute, man. Whatever you were gonna say, you brought up Avatar. Nickelodeon was like, nah, cut his mic. You've been gone for a while. You think you've been talking? Nah. Hello?
So the internet died for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, you've been gone for a while.
So I heard you say I heard you try to stop me for after when I said about the water animals. What happened after that?
No, I didn't even get what was before that. I heard you
Oh,
stopped at you mentioned Avatar and Nickelodeon was like cut his mic. He's out. Get him
oh,
gone.
oh. So basically, what I said, you have Avatar, right? You have Aang, you have Korra. Say what you will about Korra. This is a whole other debate for another episode.
Mhm, mhm.
But Korra had its fun moments. Korra had its great moments, even. And and again, because it was a sequel to the original show that again had some problems with it, but at the same time, it gave us a new Avatar, which for all the shit that people want to give her, and some of it is justified, had some great moments to her.
Yeah.
The show in general had some awesome moments in it. There was good development there. So I'm saying you don't necessarily need the Nick and Judy in a Zootopia anything. You can have. I mentioned the water animals thing. You can have a Zootopia movie set underwater with water animals. Don't call it Zootopia, but make it clear it's the Zootopia universe.
I mean, even if you do call it Zootopia, it doesn't matter because I don't think I associate Nick and Judy having to be within Zootopia, right?
I get you, but I think it's more of a brand thing, though. That
Fair.
when you call it something and it's not these characters, like if you would call it like maybe Zootopia underwater or Zootopia in space or something, the branding can help. You
No, that's
know,
fair. That's
the
fair.
branding. It can impact something because if you give it the same name but then it's not the same characters, people might raise an eyebrow sometimes,
That's fair.
not always.
That's fair.
So anything else to say on the matter, or are we closing this off?
No, go to Zootopia too. You have fun with it. If you don't, that's fine. If you have the same issues we do, that's also great. I respect it. I understand. Or if you have completely different issues, tell us. Or if you think we're horribly wrong and want to yell at us, tell us.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we are, because I saw a lot of good feedback on this, so maybe maybe I'm just missing something.
I think
So
you're wrong. Audience member who thinks
either
we're
way,
wrong.
Either way, this was all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Tell us, what do you think about Zootopia 2? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think we're overblowing things? Do you think we're wrong? Do you actually agree with us? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below, on our Tumblr, which is Bearcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Bearcast with a capital B, capital C. And tell us what you want to see in Zootopia 3, apparently, because this one is happening. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, until the next episode, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye bye.